And without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for this evening. A barrister by profession, but also a journalist and screenwriter. Best known for his comedy talk shows Clive Anderson Talks Back and Clive Anderson All Talk. Most recently, many of us will have enjoyed seeing Clive hosting BBC Two's Maestro competition, where celebrities competed to conduct an orchestra. And watching him at dinner this evening with his knife and fork was quite an experience. Clive has been described as the thinking woman's hunk. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Mr. Clive Anderson.
A thinking woman's hulk. I don't know what the woman's thinking. That's possibly the strangest introduction I've ever had. I think certainly the worst. Anyway, it's Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's a joy. Actually, it's great to come on after somebody with even less hair than I have. It's an unusual experience for me, but. Yeah, but it is right. I am Clive Anderson off the telly, in case you're thinking, what the hell's William Hague doing here? And I'd like to add to what Peter Davis was saying earlier. I'd like to thank the sponsors, because without the sponsors we wouldn't be here tonight. Well, certainly I wouldn't. I'd be presenting the Heating and Ventilation Awards in Park Lane, but that's another story. But No, I must say what a joy it is for me to be here. Indeed, I believe it's in my contract, so that's... now I've learned about cucumbers. The image of your cucumber, Callum, is going to stay with me for some time. It's good to follow him, Callum Forsyth. I knew I was following him, so I researched him. It's a good name, that, Callum Forsyth. That's great. He's president of the Forsyth's an interesting name. If you research, it comes from the Gaelic. It means intelligent, clever, or wise. Callum's a well-known name, of course. Just means not very. But No, it's great to spend an evening with you, talking about how times are so hard while eating the finest of food and drinking the finest of wine. But for the BPF, the British Plastic Federation, even though times are hard, it's business as usual. A theme which will be, and that's why we're here at this magnificent London hotel. And this theme will be continued next year at Nando's in Shepherd's Bush Green. And it may not be relevant to many of you, but this is my time. I should apologize. I'm sorry I was late getting here tonight. I know it worries me when your guest speaker's not here, but I had to pop into my bank on the way here because I only had 20 quid left in my wallet. But they were grateful for it, so that was all right. Now, in fact, on my way here, I did ask my driver if the credit crunch, rising inflation, soaring petrol costs, and increasing car tax had affected his standard of living as it had mine. And he said he wasn't allowed to speak to passengers while the bus was in motion. So, but it is a joy for me to be here tonight because it's convenient because I'm actually filming a TV series at the moment. There's a nice little break in it, so for it to come here, I'm filming. It's like a sort of reworking of the film The Titanic. It's called the Northern Rock Story, but. There it is. Anyway, things aren't so bad. Mr. Bradford and Mr. Bingley are back in the city, though, to be honest, Mr. Bradford juggles and Mr. Bingley passes the hat round. So that's... So anyway, what I've got to try and work out is how long you want to hear me for, which is always a difficulty. And I'm not asking for comments at this stage, But my task is to speak for, I don't know, 20 minutes, something like that, or until the government collapses, whichever comes sooner. But I've got to be careful, because, or the pound, could be anything, but does anyone watch the business news anymore? I suppose you know all about it, but for those who's not really interested in business, it passes you by for year after year until suddenly, God, the world's coming to an end. Sorry to depress you, but it was raised earlier on, so I don't know. I'm sure there's all be a role for plastic somewhere in the world, even if nobody can make any money about it. But anyway, so I've got to be careful. I wanted to speak too slowly, because the last time I made a speech was at the golf club, and I was speaking too slowly, and eventually they allowed two quicker speakers to come in front of me. So I've got but it's a joy for me to be here tonight. In fact, I turned down an invitation to be at a poolside party at Michael Barrymore's house just to come here, but now, as you're gathering, it's not really my world, the world of business law. I did used to be a lawyer, which, I mean, I don't do that anymore. I used to be a criminal barrister, and it's good to see one or two familiar faces up and about. It's nice to see you out again, but no, I don't do it anymore. But I'm not a lawyer, but if anybody here has been involved in an accident at work, which wasn't their fault, do see me afterwards, and I'll see. I do something much more lucrative now. I'm a plumber. But anyway, no. Good, this hotel, very good. I don't often come here, but I had a sentimental touch because I had my stag night in this very hotel, which is quite sweet for you to come back here. It's spoiled by my wife because she was in the video. But there it is. But being in a luxury hotel is a nice contrast to last night. I was in a cold, leaky church hall in Clapham hosting the City Bankers Awards sponsored by HBOS, so it's a very different but the BPF have certainly pushed the boat out tonight. They've every absolute luxury they've laid on here. Even they got the they've even hired George Michael to act as a toilet attendant, so it's very good. But we all have to tighten our belts in these difficult times. I'm trying to make money, and if anyone wants to buy a speech I prepared for the Lehman Brothers Christmas party, that's... So the world of plastic, then. We have to face the fact the future of plastics may not be in packaging, contrary to what your president just said. It may be in reconstructing Anne Robinson's face. That may be the way forward. I've done my best to reduce plastic use at supermarkets by buying those heavy-duty bags for life from my locals. In fact, I've got hundreds of those stashed away at home. But there used to be a worry with plastic bags that the children would put them over their head and suffocate. But there's none anymore because they've all got knives now. They can fight their way out. It's okay. As that very informative video told us, well, I say informative speech as well. I enjoyed the President's speech. I enjoyed it for every month of it. But the 75 years, this federation. It's an international event, I should have said. I'm sorry. There's people from all around the world, so I should have started by saying welcome or willkommen, or as the French would have it, mind your own business. But the formed in the 1930s, I gathered from the video, then there was a terrible recession. The US government was propping up the banking system. There were millions expected to be unemployed. It was a different world. We had completely... In those days, people togged up in evening dress would dance away the night while others starved on the streets. It couldn't happen anymore, but it was... I know the very first British Plastics Federation dinner was in 1933, was hosted by the young Bruce Forsyth. It wasn't that bad. Your great uncle was he obviously gets used to the wig on the nights you're not on. But, so now, the 1933, the average price for a house was £530. You can only dream of getting that sort of price for it now. That's